All right, music fans, welcome back. Yes, it's back. It's another exciting edition of. That's right, As the Who Turns. It's like three in less than a week, but there's so much material here, and the soap opera continues with all kinds of just crazy crap that people are saying, especially Pete Townsend. Anyway, this episode of As the Who Turns, as well as all the other ones, are brought to you by PJ Rock Super Chats, Buy Me a Coffee, YouTube memberships, and Patreon. If you can help out the channel, that would be very cool. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell. You know the bell, the one that'll help maybe give you a notification. People have told me various things about that, if it actually works, but you could try it. Anyway, doing what I do in real time for a few real people here, just like you and just like me. Holy crap, Batman. Pete Townsend. He's saying a lot of crazy crap. All right. I guess they got this from Guitar Player, is the original source of this particular article, which came out Monday. Pete Townsend on his and Roger Daltrey's problems as the Who set out on their final tour. Yeah, it's pretty complicated. As the Who undertake their final tour, it's worth remembering that half the original group is no longer with us. All right, good for them, because people complain a lot, and they say, what about Keith Moon? What about John Entwistle? Well, Keith Moon died in 1978, and bassist extraordinaire John Entwistle in 2002. A lot of people believe that without that very innovative, wild, and crazy rhythm section, that the Who just aren't the Who anymore. But, you know, they've soldiered on, and it's basically Roger and Pete. It says here, and yet guitarist Pete Townsend and singer Roger Daltrey have continued on as the Who, the famed British invasion group, which launched its final tour on August 16th. Well, we'll see if it's actually the final tour. We don't know. Townsend speaking to AARP. Okay, stop here for let's just maybe I need some music here. Nothing says I'm gonna die before I get old like having a conversation with AARP. They send me stuff like every other day, by the way. I don't know if they harass people, but it seems as though they want you to join up, because nothing keeps you young like looking at a bunch of blue-haired people on the cover of their magazine. Yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks. Thanks again for sending that to me in the mail. Anyway, remember, he wrote those words, I hope I die before I get old. And he's talking to AARP. All right, stop the music. It's a brand rather than a band, Townsend says. So now Pete is saying like the quiet part out loud, the stuff I talk about. At least he's acknowledging that. But he says, Roger and I have a duty to the music and the history. The Who sells records. Still, the Moon and Entwistle families have become millionaires. Interesting how he talks about the Moon and like he's doing it for them. Yeah, we have to keep the band going so the Moon and Entwistle families can, share in the wealth. There's also something more, really, the art. Oh, yeah, the art. We finally got to that. The creative work is when we perform it. We're celebrating. We're a Who tribute band. What? All right, get the music again. So, and this is what people are going to say, right? They're going to say, you guys are just a tribute band. And Townsend is saying, yep, we're just a tribute band. You're not supposed to say that stuff out loud. I mean, do the Little River Band go out there on stage and say, hey, we're just a tribute band? Should they? Maybe. But the point is, you just don't do it. Otherwise, people are going to say, what does that mean? Those casual fans. He's saying he's not the actual band? So I'm scrolling down a little bit on this article because there's more interesting stuff about Pete and Roger. Okay, they go through the whole sacking of Zach Starkey, the drummer, who, played a couple of beats, and Roger said, I can't hear anything, and stop all that boom, boom, boom in the room. Townshend seems to be taking it all in stride, though. It looked like Roger had made a mistake, but something technical went wrong, he says. This is about the Zach Starkey thing. So he's kind of come back around. Remember, before, and this is why it's a soap opera, Pete said, no, I have no idea why Roger got rid of Zach. So these guys, they're trying to get on the same page, but they don't. And maybe you just have a publicist. Have someone who talks to the media for you. Don't do interviews. This is what he says about his relationship with Roger Daltrey. He says, we don't communicate very well. He and I are very different, and we have different needs as performers, stemming largely these days from Roger Daltrey's near deafness. He got upset because he felt I had sometimes given the impression of having left the building. Roger complained about the fact that he is deaf. He's a singer, and he has to be 100% fit in order to do his job. So if he's almost deaf, how is he 100% fit to do his job? All of this is just really weird. It's kind of like when you go to a family gathering and someone is talking, and maybe 3 or 4 sentences in, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to go grab a beer. Yeah, I have to get out of this conversation because it's uncomfortable. The more Pete talks, the more uncomfortable it seems to get here. As for the future, Townshend expects he'll do more solo work, including the release of an album built around his 2019 debut novel, The Age of Anxiety. He adds that he'll do solo shows and that he and Daltrey might even do shows for charity or special projects. So it's not quite the end. Even just looking at this, if you're a fan of these guys and you want to see them continue forever, there's a good chance. And plus, you never know. Pete might be doing research for a book somehow, online, like that kind of research. He could be doing more research. He didn't say anything about that here, but you never know. So he concludes by saying, together, we represent all aspects of the Who legacy. I'm the songwriter and creator, but Roger's been driving the bus or the driving force or whatever Roger's doing, keeping the Who and his brand on track. Weird how he called it his brand. See, this is just bizarre. Almost like Pete is hanging out. These guys don't really seem to celebrate their legacy. They're like just fighting with each other. And it was really dumb to get rid of Zach Starkey. I'm just going to keep saying that because he gave the band some name ID, and he was a drummer that tried to be a little bit more like Keith Moon than, say, I don't know, any other drummer they probably could have found out there. Kenny Jones, of course, was in The Who, and he's a good drummer, but he played it straight. And I guess the guys, they knew they needed someone to try to fill in some of those weird things that Keith Moon used to do on drums. Weird and excellent, actually. Different. And people like different. That's why they watch me here on the Harmless Dave channel, because I'm different. Anyway, he concludes with, even with his solo work, we'll continue to work together, even if we rarely socialize. So, let me get the music going here as I wrap this up. This is just, if you took anything away from this video, you find out that Pete Townshend believes that this is a Who tribute band. He and Roger don't get along. Roger is almost deaf, and he shouldn't be because he's got to do his job at 100%. So why is he out there, Pete? Basically, Pete Townshend, through this entire interview, partly with a magazine called AARP, the guy who wrote the lyrics to the song that said, I hope I die before I get old. And he's talking to AARP. There's something, I don't know, blasphemous about that. But anyway. And of course, we get the we don't socialize at the end. These guys have been together since, I don't know, little kids. They were little kids back in the 60s, maybe late 50s. I don't know when they first met. I know rock historians will probably know because there are books, I'm sure, that document when they first met. But this doesn't seem like a really good friendship. You know what I mean? Just seems like it's running on fumes. And these guys probably should have retired a few years back. But according to Pete, even after this is over, they might still hang out, work together, because they're making money for the Entwistle and Moon families. So there you go. Another exciting edition of As the Who Turns in the can and on the way to the Museum of Pathetic Content. Thank you for watching. God bless everyone. Remember, Jesus loves you. Even if you've screwed up your entire life, Jesus still loves you. You can come to him at any time, and you can keep doing it over and over again. God's love for you never decreases. It always remains constant, even if your love for him doesn't. All right? All right. That's it. I'm done. Stick a fork in me. I'm toasty. See you soon.